Welcome to the VE3MIS 2-meter repeater. The time is 8:23 p.m.
Echolink TECHLINK Conference.
Bell network now connected for the net. Please stand by.
This is Victor Alpha 3, Golf Delta Zulu. The Mississauga Amateur Radio Club Net will start in 2 minutes. Are there any early check-ins? Sorry, Nick, I played straight two. Good morning there, John. Got you in there. I'll take a bit of a standby. Any other early check-ins for the Mississauga Amateur Radio Club Tuesday Night Net?
Victor Echo 3 Whiskey Yankee Delta Peter.
Got you down there, Peter. This is VE3 Golf Delta Zulu, taking early check-ins for the Mississauga Amateur Radio Club Tuesday Night Net.
Ray, just a quick question. Were you the one that was popping up on the science net every week?
Yes, indeed. Not every week. I'm trying to get Ken's message out there to a broader audience, John. I usually talked about how the COVID trends were going, and my colleague Tom would talk about the weather. Back to you.
Yeah, I thought it was you because I looked at it there and I thought, is that Gary or not? So anyway, all good. All right, let's keep going with the chickens. We'll go straight to you.
Yep, we appreciate your feedback there, John. Yep, the net's about to start. Less than 1 minute. This is VE3 Golf Delta Zulu taking early check-ins. Good evening. This is Victor Alpha 3 Golf Delta Zulu. My name is Gary. I'm your controller tonight for the Mississauga Amateur Radio Club Tuesday Night Net. This net is available on the club's VHF repeater and on Echolink starting at 20:30 hours Eastern Standard Time, 1:30 UTC. It's expected to last about an hour. Please stand by. To participate in the net locally, you can do so on the VE3MIS VHF repeater, which is at 145.430 megahertz with a negative 600 kilohertz offset and 103.5 hertz tone. To participate on Echolink, connect to the TechLink conference, node number 9229, or one of the conferences connected to TechLink. This means we all need to leave a second or two space for all the links to work when I ask for Echolink check-ins. This net not only spans the Greater Toronto region by radio and on internet via Echolink, but we're also streaming it on YouTube. Participants should be aware of this. This can be useful since when you've had your time sharing your comments, you can go back and hear yourself and how you sound by replaying the YouTube video. All you have to do is type in VE3MIS, our repeater call sign, into the YouTube search and look for today's live feed. Please be advised that all nets are archived in the live stream playlist on the VE3MIS YouTube channel. Please stand by. If you'd like to find out more about the Mississauga Amateur Radio Club, visit our website at www.marc.on.ca. The club's email address is ve3mis@rac.ca. My email is on my QRZ page. This is Victor Alpha 3, Golf Delta Zulu, and my name is Gary, Golf Alpha Romeo Yankee. Please stand by. The purpose of this net is to share news and views on topics of the day with club members and amateur radio enthusiasts who are both local to Southern Ontario, Canada, or from far and wide. It provides experience for volunteer operators in net and emergency operating procedures. All check-ins are welcome. We value participation highly from those that are outside of our region, and we invite local hams who are non-members to join in too. Please stand by. General check-ins will alternate between RF users and Echolink users. Listen carefully for the group that best matches your circumstances. So the plan for tonight is first I have just a few club announcements. I'll then record check-ins by type, alternating between RF and Echolink. Short time check-ins, either urgent or mobile, will be called first, and then general check-ins will follow. For you, when you're called, you can share any local news or activities, And then you have the option to take a crack at the 1-minute question of the day. Today we're going to be asking about how you're managing inflation. More about that later. Assuming time permits, there'll be a brief second call-out from the check-in list for you to comment on what you've heard, or just to say 7-3. Don't worry if you have to drop out from the net earlier. Please stand by. First, let's have some club news and announcements. Echolink stations will get to you in a moment. Thank you for your patience. Our general meetings emphasize comradeship and learning and are open to guests and visitors. There'll be a virtual general meeting on February the 24th at 7:30 p.m. local time. And the topic is, what is the best radio? That one sounds like a real debatable subject to me anyway. Should be interesting. The next executive meeting is on March 3rd, and the following club meeting is on March 10th, which will be a simulcast between our in-person meeting and Zoom. So we are going to try to get back to in-person meetings next month. For more info on those, it'll be available closer to the date or on the club website. Please stand by. Just a bit about nets on this repeater. All times are Eastern Standard in North America. There's the Cross Canada IRLP net every Wednesday, 11 a.m. till noon Eastern Standard Time on VE3MIS. IRLP number is 9013. On Friday night, there's the TechLink conference hosted by our friend Reg from Western Australia. Every Friday, it's from 8 to 10 p.m., and it's available on VE3MIS or Echolink 9229 or TechLink conference, which I'm on today. He has an amazing number of contacts from around the world, and it's always fun. You can email for any details from what I've said to ve3mis@rac.ca or check our club website, ve3mis.ca. Please stand by. Okay, we're getting ready to move to collecting some check-ins here, but before I do, I want to explain to those who might be connecting from outside of our local region who are coming in on Echolink. I see the ham conferences in there as well. Nice to have them join us and all those that are linked to ham. So Mississauga is in the province of Ontario, and it's the sixth largest municipality in Canada. We're the western neighbor of Toronto, Canada's largest city, in the center of what is known as the Golden Horseshoe, a large urban and industrial region of 8 million people spanning much of the northern and western shore of Lake Ontario all the way down to Niagara Falls. Please stand by. The check-in protocol is next. When checking in, please announce your call sign using phonetics followed by your first name. Check-ins will be called in 4 groups: any local emergency or high priority traffic, mobile or short time, and then I'll alternate between RF and Echolink check-ins. Please join in the group that best matches your circumstances. Hopefully we'll have time for a quick second round to comment on what you've heard others say, or just to say 7-3. Echolink check-ins and RF check-ins will be called separately to reduce the risk of doubling, and please leave a gap of a second or two since there are linked conferences. Finally, try not to transmit for more than about 1 minute to prevent system timeout and to allow others to have their turn. You can actually say quite a bit in a minute and hopefully be able to comment at the end of the first round. Please stand by. I have some early check-ins from John and Peter, and I'll see is there any emergency or high priority traffic. Nothing heard. Is anybody mobile or short time, and they will not be able to join us for sure due to other duties tonight? Any mobile or short time traffic? Okay, we'll move on. Let's get some people who can hit the repeater with their radio. Don't throw it, just push the key, the push-to-talk key, please. Any local radio stations would like to check in to the Mississauga Amateur Radio Club Tuesday Night Net. This is Victor Alpha 3, Golf Delta Zulu. Please announce your call sign using phonetics, followed by your name and QTH if you're not local.
Victor Echo 3, Juliet Mike Yankee, Murray.
Victor Alpha 3, Hotel Echo Sierra, Mark in Mississauga.
Victor Echo 3, Whiskey Bravo Foxtrot, Barry.
Okay, I'll hold it right there for a moment. I got Murray, Mark, and Barry. Do we have any Echolink check-ins? Echolink check-ins, please come now. Leave a bit of a gap.
Victor Alpha 3, Whiskey Mike, John in Niagara.
Okay, I'll proceed then. I think we have somebody on YouTube there, but I'll let Mark introduce him when we get to that point. So I've got Murray, Mark, Barry, Robert, and John. Last call for this first round anyway. No, it's not last call. You can call in anytime. But any other check-ins before we get on with the question of the day? Any other check-ins on Echolink or on radio to the Mississauga Amateur Radio Club Tuesday Night Net? Come now.
Victor Echo 3, X-Ray Bravo Hotel, Brian.
Okay, got you in there, Brian. Let's proceed, and I'll stop periodically to see if anybody coming in on the ham conference wants to join us as well. Okay, what I'd like to have is the question of the day. We certainly want to hear what's new and what's been happening in your area first and foremost, but you can take a crack at the question of the day. I've been trying to make it relevant to current events, and today I'm asking about how are you managing inflation? So with the rising prices we're seeing all around us, which aspects do you find most challenging? Is it the cost of fuel? Is it food? Is it purchased goods? If so, what type of goods are driving you nuts these days? And are you changing any of your buying habits? Are you modifying any of your travel plans? Are you eating out less? Or are you changing the type of foods that you're eating? Please remember, this is like a 1-minute question. You'll have the opportunity to comment or add to what others have said if you stay for the second round. So, let's see. At the top of the list, I want to mention one item if I could, because it's been driving me crazy. I'm planning a trip out west to Calgary in the summer. We have a wedding out there, and I was looking at car rentals, because I thought, geez, they might be hard to come by. $1,100 Canadian a week they were asking to rent a car. And I'm thinking, my goodness, I just want to rent it. I don't want to buy it. Anyways, I got many other examples, but I want to hear from you guys. So let's start with John, DK3HJQ in Australia. And the question, John, is first of all, how are you doing, and how are you managing inflation down there? Go ahead, John.
Are you just having lunch? So what was the question?
How are you managing the high prices that we're facing today? How are you managing inflation? What aspects do you find the most challenging? Is it food, fuel? purchases, and how are you managing it?
Inflation's been the lowest it's been in 20 years. So everything's there, dirt cheap here in Oz, other than petrol's gone up. I don't know. It doesn't really make any difference to me. If the price to go up, you just buy the stuff. I don't know what to say.
Okay, John, it's nice to have a rich man on the air putting us all to shame. Yeah, you must be paying the high fuel costs that we are as well. Okay, thanks for that. Let's see what others have to say. Peter, VE3WYD, how are you managing inflation? Go ahead.
Hello, Gary, and everyone on that. How are we managing inflation? Good question. Coffee. I don't buy coffee out anymore. I make my own. I've been making my own at home, and I take a thermos to work. Food, we buy a lot of food and cook at home. We don't eat out much. And for fuel, I have the opportunity to walk to work, so I've been doing that for the last 6 years, so I don't spend much on fuel. So we don't go out much, but when we do, we try to do things that are good for your health and stuff like cross-country skiing and that. So back to you, Gary, and everyone on that. This is Peter, VE3WYD, the VA3GD, dead.
Well, thank you for that, Peter. Actually, I didn't know inflation could be good for your health. You're putting the rest of us to shame. You mentioned walking and skiing, which is great. You're making your own coffee and stuff and cooking at home more, not going out as much. I thought of that too, and I'm concerned about the restaurants. We've had a terrible couple of years, and here we are saying, my goodness, the price of the entree, I could buy a lot of groceries for that. So that's a good point, but I am worried about the restaurants because it sure is nice keeping them in business, especially for special occasions. Actually, I owe my wife a nice dinner for Valentine's Day, but I'm not saying that too loud. She knows it. Okay, Murray, VE3JMY. How are things going, Murray? And what aspects of inflation are you finding the most challenging, and how are you managing them? Over to you, Murray.
VE3JMY in the group. Good evening, Gary, and all on frequency. Well, first off, a sign of springtime, Gary. I saw 2 or 3 robins in a tree over in West Mississauga here where I live. So that's a positive, I like to think. Quite a forecast. And with regard to your question, certainly food and fuel are most noticeable. And I like to think I've got tight reins on the expenditures. I think that's easy for me because I'm really not a shopper, but got to pay the price on some of these essentials. I will agree. I will sort of concede. I do miss flea markets, ham radio, vehicles, that type of thing. But and I like you. I'm concerned about the restaurants. It's nice to get out for maybe a breakfast or something, but those have been cut off. So we'll get back to that slowly, and I think it's an ongoing management of inflation. Gary, thanks. Back to you.
Okay there, Murray. Thank you very much for joining us. And tell us about what types of food are you changing any of your behaviors when we get to the second round, and how are you minimizing your fuel costs? It's kind of hard to do for some of us, isn't it? Oh, and you saw some robins here. Oh, that's great. I haven't seen them yet. I saw a cardinal, but my XYL said that didn't count. I have to wait till I see a robin. Anyways, this is not a bird watching net, at least not tonight. How about you, Mark, VA3, HES in Mississauga? How are things going? Any news for the club? And how are you managing inflation? What aspects are challenging, and how are you managing? Over to you, Mark.
Victor Alpha 3, Golf Delta Zulu, Victor Alpha 3, Hotel Echo Sierra. Good evening, Gary, and all on net. First things first, we are live on YouTube yet again. If you wish to see tonight's live stream or check out any of the previous ones, go to YouTube and search for VE3MIS and look for the Tuesday Night Net live stream folder, and you'll find all the archive nets there. We keep them for about a year, and then I'll flush them out. Managing inflation with 2 children at home, ages 4 and 8, that will eat your arm off if you leave it out too long. It's been really tough, but the XYL and I have been shopping carefully. We eat at home once a month or twice a month. We will order something in, something special for the kids. I'm going to drop for a second. But like the good Italian boy I am, we'll make a bunch of big meals and freeze stuff for later in the week, which is very handy, especially on school nights. And well, as far as gas, I have to drive around a lot for work, so managing where I have to go and trying to be as efficient with my driving as possible is kind of the best way I've been able to. But yeah, it's a tough go, and I do feel for the restaurants. I have a lot of restaurants and various entertainment places as customers, and they're all looking forward to getting things back to normal and getting some money in the door. Hi. That's all for now, Gary. Back to you, and I'll be here for the 7-3 round.
Yeah, okay there, Mark. Nice to have you join us in there tonight, and thanks for running it also on YouTube. I do tend to listen sooner or later. Okay, so you eat at home a fair bit. You're concerned about the restaurants. Gas, oh my goodness. Yeah, the electric vehicle people are laughing because the electricity prices really haven't changed that much, whereas you know what happens to the gasoline, but what are you going to do? There's no infrastructure, and you can't buy cars anyway because of the chip shortage, and that's adding to inflation as well. Oh my goodness. Okay, it is a challenging time, and that's why I'm asking the question and seeing what people are most concerned about. I'm halfway through the list here. I'd like to take a break and see if there are any other check-ins. Any other check-ins for the Tuesday Mississauga Amateur Radio Club Net. This is VE3 Golf Delta Zulu. The name is Gary. I'm your net controller. Let's take some more check-ins if there are any. Okay, didn't hear anything now. I'll ask again once more. Okay, we're over to VE3WBF, Barry. Barry's a regular participant in our nets. And Barry, how's things going? And what aspects of these high prices are you finding the most challenging, and how are you managing them? Over to you, Barry.
VA3GDZ and the net. This is VE3WBF. Two things. First, as to inflation, I drive a lot, so I got my tank of gas went from 30-something to 50-something, so that's hurting a little. And second, I was listening to, on the weekend, on Saturday, I was listening to the Ready WPX contest, and surprise of all surprises, I was picking up a lot of European stations, talking to European stations. So that was interesting from down here in Canada. It almost appears that Ricky might be my mode of choice if once I get a better UUN put in. I will not be around for the 73 round, so I'll take it back to the net. So this is VE3WBF. Over.
Okay there, Barry. Thank you for joining us. What mode were you using, or what frequency were you using to contact Europe there? Was it related to the fact, too, that we're getting more sunspots these days? Back to you, Barry.
Well, it was a contest that was going on, and I just listened in. I didn't participate in the contest, but I was on 14090, 14070, and I was using the The mode was Ricky, R-T-T-Y. Over.
Oh yeah, copy that. I don't know how to use that. You're on 20 meters though, so that would be affected by the sunspots, I think. I'm glad you made those contacts. Sorry to hear that you drive a lot. It's going to cost you, isn't it, for quite a while. I have something to say about that, but I'll wait till the end. Okay, I've caught you in there, and you said you won't be around for the second round, but it's okay. It's a short list tonight. How about we try Robert, VK2DY? I heard from your colleague there, John, that everything is cheap in Australia. Wow, must be the only place. But the question to you, first of all, how are things going in Sydney? I think your cases are coming down quite quickly, as are ours here in Ontario. And what these high prices, are you finding them? Fuel, food, or purchased goods? What is the most concerning to you, and how are you managing them? Over to you, Robert, VK2DY.
Good afternoon. This is Robert, VK2DY in Cellular Ridge, New South Wales. An old part of the urban sprawl that is Sydney. 27 degrees Celsius. And the sun is back behind the clouds. We've got a partly cloudy day and the sun playing hide and seek behind the clouds. So it is what it is. Other than that, COVID cases, John says they're up. You know, nobody talks about COVID cases anymore. It's like it used to be a big deal. People used to have, you know, the premier used to get onto television and announce it and talk about it. And now nobody really talks about it anymore. It doesn't really make the news, and it's sort of a funny thing. But at any rate, it is what it is. I guess they're slightly up, but I think the cases will probably, I think most of the restrictions will probably be gone by the, there's something here. Just hold on a second. Okay, back. Alarm went off for some reason. We need a new battery in that alarm. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, I think the COVID restrictions will end on the 28th. I don't think there's any impetus to continue them. The present premier does not seem to be interested, so I think the restrictions will end on the 28th. Other than that, yeah, prices, I don't know where John is, but prices here are going up. Fuel, let's see, I pay $1.67 for diesel at Costco, and that's about 20 cents cheaper than pretty much anywhere else. So, yeah, the fuel is about 60-70% more than it was a year ago. So, yeah, that's a little bit worrisome. Everything is sort of gone up. So I'm not exactly sure. I'd love an electric vehicle, but electric vehicles are not being encouraged down here. I'm watching for Volkswagen. They're supposed to replace their T6 van with a T7, and when they replace the T6 with a T7, it's supposed to be, one of the options is supposed to be electric. So I'm sort of watching to see what they do with their van. But at any rate, I would love an electric car, but the expense of an electric car is also astronomical. So we shall see where we go with this whole thing. Don't eat out much. You know, when I do, I usually skip the entree and the dessert and just concentrate on the main course and the drink, and that's it. Because yeah, the prices in restaurants have gone up. The prices, I used to buy kebabs there, used to be $8, $9, they're now $12, $13. So everything seems to be going up. They tell us the inflation is only 3.5%, but I don't think that's true. VK2DY, back to next.
Thank you there, Robert. Always a pleasure. As someone we mutually know always likes to say, you always have some good contributions. first-year restrictions are going near the end of the month, very similar to ours. It was very recently announced that they're not going to require the proof of vaccination anymore. They still want you to wear masks and stuff, and it's still being talked about, but yeah, isn't it nice to not have to? And I think it is going to, the decline is going to slow down, because there's still a lot of people that aren't fully vaccinated, and this Omicron is still out there. But anyways, everybody's chomping at the bit to move on, that's for sure. Yeah, the price of your diesel, and I see that John put some other things like unleaded gas at $1.70 a liter for Australian dollars per liter. We're over $1.60 right now for regular gas, and I'm afraid to ask what premium is, because my car, it's recommended to me to use premium, and if I do, I could be putting $100 into my car just to fill it up. Ouch! Not used to that, and there's no electric cars in my future either. The infrastructure is not there. Anyways, thanks for sharing the information. You're always a great addition to the net there, Robert. Okay, John, VE3WM from Niagara. How are things going there, John? What aspects of these rising prices are challenging you the most? Is it food, fuel, something you're buying? And are you modifying any of your habits or travel plans or eating out less? So how are you managing inflation there, John? Over to you.
Good evening, Gary, and everyone on the Mississauga net. This is John Victor Alpha 3 Whiskey Mike in Niagara. Well, being retired and on fixed income, careful monitoring of spending is always a priority. So we spend wisely. That doesn't mean that we don't go out and splurge periodically, such as Valentine's Day. We had a beautiful dinner last night, and we had previously been in this restaurant before the COVID started, so it's been that long. Anyways, yeah, and fuel, well, we have a diesel, so it's pretty good on fuel economy. We do have to pay more because it is winter. But anyways, we carefully plan our outings, and when we don't need to go out, we don't. So, and I think that's going to be about it. Back over to you, Gary, VA3WM.
Yeah, okay there, John. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, you don't say you don't go out as much. You know, this all these rising prices can take some of the fun out of life if we're afraid to travel or go out to restaurants, whatever. But I'm surprised to hear that from you. I think you're the guy that told me to go to a couple of fancy restaurants at some local wineries there in the Niagara region. And I think I looked them up and I almost fell off my chair what they cost. It was, what, $150, $200 or that. Anyway. I'm surprised to hear that from you. But yeah, you do have to be more cautious. You have diesel isn't cheap anymore, is it? And then we got to heat our homes and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it can really take the fun out of life if you let it. So let's hope that it's transitory a bit and nothing goes crazy in the rest of the world, which will bump prices up even more, I'm sure. Anyways, I'll see if you're around the second round. One more check-in here, and then I'll ask for some new check-ins to see if anybody else is listening wants to join us. VE3XDH, Brian, come on in. How are things going, Brian? And what aspects of these rising prices do you find most challenging, and how are you managing inflation? Go ahead.
VA3GDZ, VE3XDH. Good evening, Gary, and everybody on the net. Nice to hear everybody. Well, we're doing okay. I had a nice sunny day yesterday, so that was nice. It was kind of chilly, so it was a little bit misleading. It looked like it was going to be warmer, but it wasn't too bad in the sun, so that's not too bad. But as far as inflation, I'm kind of in the same boat as John, being retired. Just the two of us, well, the three of us if we include the dog, I guess. But we don't go out an awful lot to restaurants and that sort of thing. We usually cook at home, so that hasn't affected us too much. And same with driving. We don't do an awful lot of driving. I would hate to have to be having to drive into work like I used to, sitting in traffic and watching the gas gauge go down. But but other than that, we usually we've always kind of been in the habit of keeping a stock of food, getting it on sale, and putting it in the freezer. And I'll drop for a second. And then, cooking meals at home and that sort of thing. And much like Mark, cook something at home and freeze the rest, and then you've got dinner for a couple of nights and that sort of thing. So in our case, it's not terrible at the moment anyways. Certainly things are always going to go up, and we kind of expect that. So we're just kind of dealing with it as it comes along. We're, I guess, kind of lucky in that respect. But Gary, I'll send it back to you, Gary, sorry. And we'll be listening along, VA3GDZ, VE3XPH.
Yeah, thanks for checking in there, Brian. Always good to hear from you. So, yeah, you're not doing too much, not driving too much. That's good. Wouldn't it be terrible to have to commute into work for an hour each way with the current prices? I just can't imagine how some people are doing it. And looking for sales and eating at home, I think those are natural reactions to it. But I tell you, the summary I'm getting from all of you guys here tonight on the net is restaurants are going to be in trouble. Because, they have to pay the high price of food that we see in the grocery stores, and then they got to pay all their staff and their utilities and try to make up for the fact that they haven't been fully open for the past couple years. So you guys have me concerned about restaurants. I guess I got to go more often once I get confident that COVID is gone. Okay, let's see if there's any more check-ins before we go back to the top. This is the Tuesday Night Mississauga Amateur Radio Club Net. My name is Gary, call sign VA3 Golf Delta Zulu. Any other check-ins for the net tonight?
Victor Alpha 3, Alpha Zulu Alpha, VA3A today, Brian in Mississauga.
VA3, GIC Jim from Guelph.
Okay, we got three more in there. We have Brian, Jim, and Ken. Anyone else in there before we get their comments and then go back to the top? Last try for this particular round. Okay, nothing heard, so we'll take Brian, VA3AZA. I hope you heard the question of the day there, Brian, but first, how are things going with you? And then what aspects of all these crazy prices are most challenging? Is it food, fuel, something you're purchasing? Are you modifying any of your buying habits or travel plans or what you're eating? So anyways, how are you managing inflation is the question of the day. Over to Brian, VA3AZA. Go ahead.
VAC, GDZ, this is VAC, AZA. Well, good evening, Gary, and thanks for taking the net. Good to hear from you, as always. And I'm kind of in and out, I guess. I've been doing some other things and coming into the net. So I did hear your question, actually, a little bit earlier. But the things are pretty good, I guess. Not too much to complain about. But as far as inflation goes, I know one thing I've been looking at is the cost of vacationing. I was looking into renting a cottage just for a little bit in the summer, maybe a week or so.
And I was really, really surprised at what had happened to the prices. And I don't know whether that's pandemic related, but I kind of suspect it is. I think there's a great urge to get away from the city. And a lot of people are descending upon cottages in different parts of Ontario, maybe in numbers that they hadn't done before. That's my theory. I don't know if it's right, but I was really quite surprised at how the prices have changed. But anyway, good to hear from you, and we'll pass it back to you. VA3A today, over to VA3GDZ.
Aircan VA3KEX.
VA3GDZ is VA3KX. Still here, Gary.
We seem to have lost the link, the Echo Link. Hang on, it might be back.
VA3GDZ, VA3HES. Gary, it's Mark. I think we've lost our internet connection at the club station, hence why we are off Echolink.
VA3HES, VA3AZ. Hey Mark, I just tried the remote login, doesn't work.
Yeah, I can't even get in, I can't connect with the VPN into the club station, so I have a funny feeling there's either been a power outage or Bell's decided to do something.
VA3HS, VA3AZ. Oh well, looks like there might be some minor problem, not much we can do about that.
Roger. Yeah, of course it had to had to happen in the middle of the net.
Oh, Roger, the equipment has eyes for the right moment, I guess.
Hi, exactly. Well, I guess there's still a few of us here on RF. I'm just trying to get Gary's attention.
I'm here. Should I take the ones on Echolink and one of you guys take the ones on RF for the 7-3 round?
I think you probably got to take the last one.
You guys doubled on each other, AZA and GDZ. Yeah, I guess we might as well take the RF side and you can finish off on Echolink.
Yeah, that's what I said. I'll finish off Echolink. You guys take the 7-3 round, and Ken hasn't come in to say his piece yet. Okay, I'll finish off on Echolink.
Roger, Roger.
Oh, Roger, Roger. I guess should we do the RF right now, or should we just wait for him to finish Echolink?
We might as well do the RF now then, Brian.
ECHLINK conference disconnected.
VE3MIS, that's interesting. We're going to disconnect message there.
You maybe want to just give it one shot to see if you can connect back from our end?
Roger, I'll give it a try right here.
Connecting to Echolink DECHLINK conference. The node that you called is not responding.
Okay, well, we'll give it one more try here. Maybe that'll get it going. I don't know what's up. Let's do one more.
Connecting to Echolink DECHLINK conference.
Handling the current bout of inflation that we're having. What's the most challenging for you? Food, fuel, purchases? Over to you, Jim.
Well, I'm going to say that some things have gotten frightfully expensive, and it just seems to hurt to buy, like $3 lettuce. A lot of things have gone up a buck, you know? A lot of things have gone 50 cents or a buck, so I mean, it just hurts your pocketbook. My $45 of gas now costs $65. And I don't think it's a bout. I don't think it's going to go back. When the price of fuel can go up, but I don't think the price of other things are going to come back down. So anyway, other than that, I'm guessing there's maybe lost internet to the repeater. But hey, thanks for doing the net. VA3GDZ, VE3JRW73.
Yeah, okay there, Jim. Yeah, the price of food and gas, and you don't think it's going to come back down. Well, it's going to hurt our quality of life, isn't it, if it stays very high, which we've heard today. And I'm really worried about the restaurants now. I think we have the link back. At least I can see that it's working from here. I think we lost poor Ken there. I'm going to give him a shout. VA3KEX10. Are you in there? How's it going, and how are you managing inflation if you're there?
VA3GDZ, VA3KEX. Good to have you back there, Gary. And to your question, I don't do a lot of driving these days, do a lot of walking, so it's sure if my money's hit that way. I do want to find myself doing a lot more price checking at the grocery store now. Food is getting really expensive. Restaurants, I don't go to restaurants at all, so that's definitely a big issue for me. And I like browsing my local bookstore, but I find myself heading to the bargain bin a lot right now. A lot of the bargains are like good books. So that's basically how I do it. Thank you, VE3MIS.
Well, thank you for joining us there tonight, Ken. Yeah, we copied you okay. A little bit of hiss in the background, but nothing too disturbing. Yeah, being more careful, price checking. I think we're all doing that these days. And as I said before, I'm worried about restaurants now with what I've heard tonight. Wow. Let's hear how Teresa is doing. VA3JTH, I believe, Teresa in Guelph. How are things going, and what aspects of the current high prices are causing problems for you, Teresa, and are you changing any of your habits? Over to you.
VA3GDZ, VA3LTH, Teresa here in Guelph. Well, we just, like Jim said, we don't eat out much and try to price check when we go to the grocery store and buy things. And, yeah, we don't buy a lot of anything else, like new clothes or anything like that, because, well, we can get by with what we have. And thanks for taking my check-in. With that, I'll say 7-3 and listening. VA3GDZ, VA3LTH.
VA3LTH, this is VA3 Golf Delta Zulu, Gary from Toronto, and thank you for joining us, Teresa. You're another one of those people who aren't eating out. Geez, I'm glad I don't own a restaurant. My goodness. Okay, that's my turn. I got something to contribute to my own question. You heard my complaints about rental cars, and I think Brian mentioned the cost of vacationing. That's got me scared. The other thing I'm doing with the price of fuel going up, I've been buying oil and gas shares that pay a dividend, and I've been putting the dividend into the tank of my car, so to speak. And as the price of food goes up, I buy restaurant store shares. They're not paying that good a dividend. I don't think they're paying for all my my eating habits. But anyway, that's what I'm doing. If you can't beat them, you join them. But I don't have a solution for the high car rentals, unfortunately. Okay, let's go back to the top, the 7-3 round. Any quick comments on what you've heard? And I will ask for new check-ins once we get through the list. So let's go back to the top. VK3HJQ, John, are you in there? Any further comments?
Okay, so HJQ. Yeah, living on dividends, that's the way to do it. Yeah, I've got more money than I can spend. And I just checked the inflation rate, and this guy's at 7.5%. Any wonder you're tobacco there. According to Australia, we're only running about 3.5. I'm trying to find the 2022. The latest figures I got are last quarter 2021. So there you go. Any wonder you're all up in arms. Well, there's not much you can do about it because you need to eat, you need to put fuel in your car. So what do? I suppose you can bark and bark and bark all you like, but you still got to go and buy it, don't you? Especially fuel. I mean, we run both our cars on LPG, so it's currently, well, it was 70 cents. I just looked it up. It's 90 cents. It's gone up 30 cents a litre, but that's cheaper than petrol, that's for sure. Yeah, one other trick we do, we put everything on a credit card. Everything goes on a credit card, then the month we just pay it off. And of course, you get points on your credit card, and then the bank gives us money back. It's just a no-brainer. I don't know why more people don't do it. Get a big credit card with a great limit, bung everything on it, and pay it off at the end of the month. They give you points, and then we get hundreds and hundreds of dollars they give us back. It's a crazy system. I don't know how the money has it. Maybe the ones that are charging the 25% interest that don't pay it. Anyway, thanks, Gary, for that. And sorry about all my comments in the text box, but I just sort of get on my hobby horse over here. Okay, thank you.
John, always a pleasure to have you join us. I always enjoy your comments. I just only have so many hands and can do only so many things at once. So you mentioned the question, what are you going to do? Well, that's what I'm asking today. That's why I picked the topic. And this will be the quick comment round. Oh boy. Peter, if you're still in there, 7-3, is there any comments that you may have? Over to VE3WI.
VA3GDZ, this is VE3WYD. I've been enjoying everybody's comments on the net. My last comment is, I guess with COVID, everybody has changed their lifestyle somewhat to some degree, and let's do more ham radio. 73, everyone, back to you, and special thanks to whoever fixed the connection up. We had a little blurb there, but you guys handled it very professionally. 73, back to you, Gary. This is VE3WYD to VA3GDZ.
Thanks to Mark or Brian for fixing that. I guess this is why they call it amateur radio. And Peter, appreciate having your comments and having you join us tonight. Let's move on to any quick comments from you, Murray, or your 7-3 to VE3JM.
Hey, Gary. Very good topic. Basically, we need to have overall management of our finances, keep an eye to the bottom line, as we always have, more sharply nowadays, and cut back on stuff. In general, I think. I like Peter's comment, more ham radio. Thanks, Gary. All the best. Everybody have a great week. 7-3.
Oh, thanks very much, Murray, and for those comments. And yeah, Peter, more ham. That's what I've been doing in this lockdown period is ham radio. Thank goodness I got my ticket. I would have gone nuts without it, I think. But it's nice to have chats like this, that's for sure. Mark, VA3HES, comment round, over to you.
VA3GDZ and Group, Victor Alpha 3 Hotel Echo Sierra returning. Well, Gary, thank you for hosting the net tonight. Another great one as usual. Yeah, sorry about the little blip there, folks, but it seems like the internet connection at the club station, which feeds the repeater site internet, had a quick little blip there for a few minutes, and Brian was able to help us get reconnected there. You know, I'm going to be like my grandparents. They saw use in everything. They never threw anything out that didn't need to be thrown out, and fixed a lot of stuff, refurbed a lot of stuff, and you know those things certainly work well today to save a few dollars. Though this inflation business is really starting to scare me. I certainly don't think my house is worth as much as it is, but other people seem to think different. Anyway, 7-3 everyone, and I'll catch you all again next week. Back to you, Gary.
VE3MIS.
Thanks a lot for your support, as usual there, Mark. Oh, don't get us into housing and rents and interest rates. Oh, boy, those are all separate topics. Ouch, ouch, and ouch. Okay, Barry said he wouldn't be back. How about Robert, VK2DY, for the comment round? Any final comments for 7-3s? Over to you, Robert. Uh-oh, he must be having his sandwich. That's okay, though. John, VA3WM, any comments on what you've heard, or your 7-3s?
Yeah, just a comment. Changing our eating habits. I have never been a big meat eater, and my wife does not care for red meat. So as I look at the ads, not that I like ribeye steak, because it's just got way too much fat in it, but like $15 a pound, that's ridiculous. So and my wife prefers to be more vegetarian oriented. Lots of beans. So that's what I've been eating. Good topic, Gary, and 7-3 to everyone. VA3WM.
Great to have you join us in there, John. And yeah, I'm eating less beef too. Talking about changing habits, actually, I think pork is becoming more dominant. It's still reasonably priced. I can't say that seafood is cheap. Chicken's sort of in between. And if you're vegetarian, that should work too. But I don't think that much grows in the winter up here in Canada. So we got to import it, and we got to pay those gas prices to get food on our table. Ouch. Okay, Robert, he wasn't in there. I'll try him a bit later at the end. Brian, VE3XBH, any final comments for the net?
GDZ, VE3XBH. Well, no, not really, Gary. Nice to hear everybody's opinions and hear what they're up to, but like I say, we weren't really... we haven't really changed too much, our habits so much, so at this point I'll just say 7-3 to everybody, have a good week, and I'm sure we'll be talking to you again. This is VA3GDZ from VE3XBH.
Okay, thanks for joining us there, Brian, and how about over to VA3AZA, Brian, a poor guy that's trying to find a vacation home. Good luck with that. Time for you to say 7-3 or comment, Brian. Over to you.
VA3, GDZ, VA3AZA. Okay, Gary. No, nothing more to add. Just listening in to other people's comments. And yeah, it's a little bit of a struggle, but who knows how long it lasts? Can't last forever. But thanks again for doing the net, and maybe my next testing station, maybe we can, probably not. But anyway, have a good evening, and I hope everyone else has a good evening the rest of the week. VA3A today, over to Net Control.
Yeah, there's a topic for another net. So what are you going to do to go crazy once COVID is gone and inflation is gone? I'll look forward to that net, Brian. Jim, VA3JIC in Guelph, any final comments for the net?
All right, Gary. Well, thanks for doing the net. No, I have no more final comments. Really, thanks for taking my check-in tonight. That's absolutely wonderful. And absolutely what you said, if it wasn't for ham radio, well, what would we be doing? Myself and the wire, I was just recently new at this. I'm licensed since December, and she's just licensed maybe month and a bit now. So, I don't know what we would do without this. This is quite a way to keep your sanity. So, Gary, thanks for doing that, and thanks for everybody else who's out there. Everybody stay safe, stay healthy, stay warm, and watch out for this weather coming tomorrow and the next day. 7-3, VA3JIC.
VA3JIC, this is Victor Alpha 3, Golf Delta Zulu. Jim, pleasure to have you and your XYL join us. You're doing a great job. Welcome to the hobby. It is a lot of fun, and you meet a lot of interesting people. Okay, Ken, VA3KEX. I think we're still connected to you, Ken. Any final comments, or you're 7-3 for the net?
VA3KEX, Ken, from Etobicoke, Ontario. No, nothing further, Gary. Thanks for the net tonight, and it was a pleasure participating here and listening along. And let's give my 73. Thank you, VA3KEX.
7-3 to you too there, Ken, and we'll be talking to you shortly, I guess, on some of the Toronto repeaters. Jim, VE3JIW, any comments for the net before we wrap her up here? Over to you, Jim.
No, I think that's it for now. Thank you very much for being there, and the repeater came back up, and it's an internet problem. Somebody talked about changing the frequency of the link radio. I really don't know how that would be accomplished. Interesting thought. Anyway, 7-3 and back to net.
Thank you there, Jim, and thanks for joining us. How about Teresa, VA3LTH over there in Guelph? Any comments for the net?
VE3GDZ, VA3LTH. Well, Gary, if you want us to support your restaurant shares, you could take us all out for dinner if you really want. Just let us know when that would be. Anyways, no, I'll just say thanks for taking my check-in. And yes, this is a wonderful hobby. There are lots of wonderful people on the air. And with that, I'll say 7-3. Everyone stay healthy and stay safe. Nice to meet you all. VE3GDZ, VA3LTH. 7-3.
Oh, that was a good one, Teresa, about restaurants. But I think I said, I'm glad I don't own a restaurant, with all you guys saying you're going to eat out less and you're going to eat at home and all this kind of stuff. Geez, I'm going to have to support the industry all by myself here. Wait a minute, I need John there from Australia to help me. He's the guy that his tip was just make more money than you could possibly spend and you won't worry about it. That was his tip on the chat. Okay, any other people want to check in before we wrap this up? Any other last-minute check-ins to the Mississauga Tuesday evening net? Go ahead.
Victor Echo 3, Alpha, Juliet Foxtrot. Echo 3, Sierra, Sierra Romeo.
Okay, we have two more in there. Victor Alpha 3, AJF, Amnon. How are things going, Amnon? And we do have a question of the day. With the rising cost of everything, what are you finding the most challenging? Is it food, fuel, something you're purchasing? Are you modifying any of your habits or travel plans? So how are you handling inflation is the question of the day. Over to VA3, AJF, and I also got SSR on the list coming to you next. Go ahead, Amnon.
Okay, Gary. Yeah, slight correction on the call sign. It's Victor Echo 3, Alpha Juliet Foxtrot. Yeah, and with this inflation, yeah, I don't like it at all, just like most people. But what we're doing is just cutting back on unnecessary purchases. And definitely impulse buying is out for now. And I think as you mentioned, I'm adding up all those dividends. Anyway, yeah, a little bit late to the net. There's 3 nets going on tonight simultaneously. But I think I managed to cover all 3 of them. Back to you, Gary. VA3 GDZ, V3 AJF.
Well, I'm glad that you made it in. Better late than never, as they always say. And I see you can move from net to net at the speed of light. That's one of the advantages of radio, isn't it? Okay, so you're cutting back as well, and no impulse buying? Oh boy. You know, the sense I'm getting here, you can see how something like high inflation and high interest rates and all this, it can lead to, I shouldn't use this word, it could lead to a recession because everybody has the same feeling and the same impression that people aren't going to go out and go crazy and spend on everything. Okay, VE3 SSR is at the bottom of my list. I didn't get the name or location, but come on in, VE3 SSR.
Yes, and this is Victor Echo 3, Sierra, Sierra Romeo. My name is Eugene, and I'm located in Thornhill, and well, I think it's my first time when I just joined the net, and here in Mississauga, and well, I'm just running my years of radio and F300 antennas. And, well, I'm not sure what was the main subject of the discussion, but you might ready to join the net. I guess the net control.
Okay, Eugene, we have you in there. We were just asking people, how is inflation affecting them? What costs are causing them the most challenging for them, and are they changing any of their habits due to the high inflation rate? If you want to take a crack at that, go ahead, Eugene. Back to VE3 SSR.
When it comes to the inflation, the first thing, that the price for the gas, this is the one thing which is consuming most of all, is when 20 years ago it was like 63 cents per liter, and now it's $1.60. Quite high rate. Besides that, like if you go to buy some juices and fruits or whatever, during the last 3 years, the prices have doubled. That's my most concern.
Yeah, roger that, Eugene. I think that's driving a lot of people nuts, and especially the people that have to use gasoline to get to work or can't work from home. Although that's one thing that the pandemic did bring us, didn't it? It allowed a lot of people to work from home virtually, and I don't think they're going to go back to the long commute, or they might go in 1 or 2 days a week to the office. So I think things have changed, probably permanently, especially if you have to gas up the car every week. Okay, thank you for joining us, Eugene. Well, it's been interesting. I think we have a statistically valid sample of what people are feeling right now, and people are starting to cut back, and I better go to restaurants more often now to make up for the rest of you guys that are eating at home. Hi. Anyways, I want to thank you all for joining us tonight. If you have any comments, thoughts, or suggestions, you can contact us for club matters. Email is ve3mis@rac.ca, or feedback. Give us some feedback or suggestions to me if you want. My email is on my QRZ page. This is Gary, Victor Alpha 3, Golf Delta Zulu, closing the net and returning the repeater to general use. Thank you all for your participation. 7-3.